This is part 5 of my turn-based battle system. In the last part we just started to create the enemy and the hero state machines to make sure that we go through stages, and we were able to fill the progress bars over time automatically and then switch the state to the add to list state to not go forward and fill more of that that progress bar, and also we clamped that so it wouldn't be overflowing. Okay, so in this part we are going to create our battle manager, or basically our battle state machine. With our battle manager, what we create is a empty game object, and I call this one battle manager. This battle manager will basically hold all the informations about that battle, or basically goes and check all the states we can be in, and also takes care of the states and who is the next guy, who can attack, and all the other things. So go to our scripts folder and create a new C# script, and this is going to be our battle state machine. Battle state machine. There we go. So this state machine will will look at all informations, all inputs of the player and all the other things, and also will manage who can or who is going to do the next turn. There will be a lot of other scripts we need to implement, and we will create them over time or when the time comes. So what do we need? At first we need some battle states again, and we start with the first and most important one, and later on we may want to go over and add more stuff and more state machines if we need them. So the battle state machine will again look over all the turns we just have, and also make sure who is going to win and going to lose the battle and all the other things. So we need to take care of that. What do we want to create at first? Well, let's create the battle state machine, or basically the perform action state machine. So what we create is again another enum, as we have done in the last video. So we say public enum, and I just call this one perform action. Again, open close curly brackets, and in here we have for now 3 states. So the first one is going to be a waiting state, like preparing or idling until we get information. We go over this one later on. Then we have another state where we take an action. And the last one is going to be we perform an action. Perform action is basically another idle state in here. So a blank one which will just wait, or we push our information from take into perform, and then until the take action is done, then we go from perform action back to wait and repeat all that stuff. We don't need that comma in here. And again, we need to set create a reference to perform action. So let's just call this, I don't know, battle states or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Or perform states. There we go. You can name that however you want. Just don't confuse yourself. So in update function, we again create that switch statement for this one. Whoops. So switch, and in this case it's going to be battle states. So we want to switch all the battle states we can be in. So the first case in here is going to be our waiting or wait. So we say perform action dot wait, double dot after this line, and then let's leave some space and say we want to break this, and then we'll go over, or I go over and copy that part and duplicate this 3 times. and here we have the take action one, and then here we have the perform action state. Okay, save the script, don't forget that, otherwise you may lose some hard work we are doing the whole time. Sorry. And basically that's what is needed for the battle state machine. So in the hero or in the enemy state machine, where we were just telling, okay, we upgrade the progress bar and then we go and push to the add to list. So what we need to do is, as we are doing here, we push any information into add, or can push any information into add to list. So everything we may want to go over is doing all that into that. So what kind of information can we push into the battle state machine to make sure who is going to take the next turn, or basically who is going to get informations which are needed for that? So what can we do? We basically can create another piece of code, or basically another class, which can hold all that information, and then we take that information and store, or basically transport that to the battle state machine, so the state machine knows who is the next one. So let's do that as next. Also, we want to make sure that in start we are setting battle states to the waiting state, to make sure this is going to be 100% what we want to do. So perform action dot wait is going to get into start. So let's create the new class we just need. Don't forget to save your script. And since we just have created that battle manager game object, we can just drag the battle state machine into that, and we can see automatically the first state is going to be wait. Also, don't forget to save the scene if you have changed anything, like dragging around the hero stuff in here for whatever you have done in the last part, if you haven't already. So that battle manager again has to get that state machine, and what we do is we create a new C# script, and this is going to be just a small class, which I just call handle attacks, or handle turns. Basically, what this is going to be is a handler for turns. So open this one up. I hope monodevelop does not crash. It doesn't like to do what I want it to do. So double click the script once again. There we go. So we don't need start, we don't need update. We also don't want to inherit from mono behavior, so we just get rid of that. And what we want to do is we want to fill in some information. So what we want to do is, since we want to know who is going to take the next turn and what kind of input the guy or the whoever it was, an enemy or an hero, who was that guy, or who was the enemy, or who was the hero, and which attack does it choose. So we start small and just do the first basic ones, and later on we may want to fill that up. So what we want to do is we want at first to know the name of the attacker. I just command this one out. Of attacker. So we say we create a string, a public string called attacker. Then the next one is, what I want to do is, which game object was that who was sending that information, since you want to later on do some animations and stuff. So we say public game object, and we say attacker's game object. So who was doing that attack? not just the name, we want to have the game object which contains the enemy state machine or the hero state machine. So we know 100% this is the object, and then later on when we handle animations and stuff, I want to, or we'll go over the basics for this. Then we want to make sure that we animate the right one, and also have the right script which is doing all that stuff later on. The next one is we want to know who is he going to attack. So another game object we just choose later on automatically for the enemies, and by input from the player, which has to choose the target basically. So what I say is game object or public game object on, say, attacker's target. So who attacks is here, and here who is going to be attacked. There we go. Gonna save this. Basically it's going to be that for now, and later on we want to go over and let's just comment this out. Which attack is performed, like a spell or a normal attack. At first I go over and just use a normal attack. We create that attacks later on too. Or basically code wise we just go over and create them. So now we have a handle turn class which we can use as a push and pull object to push information in and place them in, or basically send the informations inside the battle state machine. So since it's easier to create the connections for the enemy state machine, so we go over and create the stuff for the enemies at first and later on go for the heroes, or maybe we switch back and forth. I will go and create the enemies at first. So the enemy can or will choose automatically what kind of information is it going to do, but at first I need to know where I save or store all that information. And what I want to go over is I want to create a list of all entities or basically of all handle turns which coming in to know, okay, this is the next one. So what I want to create is a list. So I need to say using system.collections.generic. So we can use lists. Why do I use lists? As it is going to be lists are dynamic, so we can add and delete or remove items from the list and put stuff into that list at any point. And when we delete the 0 of that list, then everything else will come afterwards. So we say public and then a list, of course, of type handle turn. So what we will send from the enemy and from the hero state machine later on, a handle turn a handle turn class basically, or handle turn object, and store that in that list. So we say that list will only store handle turns or handle turn classes, and we call this list I don't know, next turn, or maybe something else, or perform list. Performance is way better. Perform list. So, and what we say is equals, and we create this list automatically. So we say new list of type handle turn, and then we need to open close brackets. Nothing else. And also we may want to make sure who is going to be in the battle. So we scan that area or our game or battlefield. So we need two lists for the game objects of enemies and hero characters too. So we say public, and we create a new list of game objects. And I call this one heroes in game equals new list of game objects. And of course the same for enemies in game, or let's not say in game, let's say in battle. And public list again of type game object enemies in battle, new list of type game object, and there we go. So we can also already those two heroes and enemies in battle, we can already populate them in start. So when the battle basically is going to start, we can populate the lists, and later on we need to update that list when one of them dies, no matter if it's a hero or an enemy. So what we can say is enemies in battle is going to be equal to let me just check something. I believe it's going to be enemies in battle dot add, and now we go over and say game object dot find game objects with tag, and then we can say what tag does that guys have, and we say just enemy. So now they should be added into that list. I'm gonna check that once again pretty quick. Can convert game object array. Give me a second. I believe it's going to be at range. So enemies in battle dot add range, and let's check this pretty quick once again. Gonna save this, and what I want to make sure is that my battle manager contains that list and adds up when I start the battle. So let's see. And there we go. So we added enemy 1 and enemy 2 into the list. So we know now know how many enemies are in the game, and later on we can check for them. If the one has actually died, we can remove them from the list, and also we can check if we won the battle or lost. Same we are going to do for heroes in battle, so we check for the heroes tag and add them into the heroes battle list. Gonna play and check both of them once again. So now you can see we have hero 1 and hero 2 in here, and also we have enemies in battle, enemy 1 and enemy 2. Pretty cool. So the now we know what's in the battle, and we have the perform list in here. And now we can basically go over and create more stuff for the enemy state machine to handle all the input, or basically random input we do or we can do. So at first what we need to do is we need to create a connection to the battle state machine. So I just do that in here, just say private battle state machine, and say just shorten this one by BSM. And in start I want to make sure that I find that game object which holds the battle state machine. So I say battle state machine is going to be equal to game object dot find And now I'm going to look for the battle manager. Oh, not here. So battle manager, make sure you type everything right. And what I want to do is I want to get the component which is inside the battle manager. It's going to be the battle state machine. There we go. Set brackets in here and close the line. So now I have a connection to the battle state machine script, and now I can send information into that battle state machine back and forth however I want to. So now in the enemy state machine, I need several other things too. So at first, again, the battle state machine needs to know who is in the battle. So that's why I added that, so I can read easily out of the battle state machine who is going to be in the battle, basically which heroes are in the battle. And I can set everything properly. So what are we going to do next? At first I a bit change the state machine of the hero of the enemy. Instead of going to use add to list, I just say choose action, since it's going to choose actions on its own. We don't need selecting, we need just waiting, action, and that. So I can get rid of that turn state in here, and also I don't need that one. So if we are processing with our progress bar and we are done, we want to say we want to choose an action in our upgrade progress bar, and then choose action, which is not in the list already. So we go into our switch statement and say choose action. So we add this one. We have waiting, action, and that. Yeah, that's cool. And now we create a new function. So we say void and call this one just choose action. And what is going to happen in here is we want to take our handle turn and populate this with actions the enemy is going to choose automatically. We can do several different things. I want to keep it simple for now. Later on we can do everything like implementing mass and stuff, and or however it want to choose. We can go through and do everything and choose action, or we can just take this and outsource it in another script. But for now I just leave it in here. So what I want to say is I want to create a new instance of handle turn, and I just call this one my attack. And what I want to do is I want to create that new instance of handle turn, and that's it. So now I can populate this with the name my attack, and I can send any information I have or I can use in handle turn just by using the my attack value or whatever variable, basically. So my attack dot, and now I have attacker, attacker's target, and attacker's game object, or attacks. Oh, I have a typo there. Attacker's game object. Yep, gonna save this pretty quick once again. So at first I want to know the name. Who's the attacker in here? And how can I find this out? Well, basically in our base enemy class we just added into the top over here. We populated the enemy already with a name, and so we can just take the name and store that into my attack. Then the next thing is I want to know who's or what is the game object the attacker is going to do. So attacker's game object. So my attack.attacker's game object is going to be this dot game object. So this game object is going to be the attacker's game object. And what else? Well, we want to, of course, set the attacker's target. So we can target any enemy hero we want. Or basically any hero. It's not an enemy, but yeah. So attacker's target is going to be equal to, and now we can choose randomly from or outside the battle machine's heroes in battle list when we do an attack. When we use later on healing and stuff, then we might go and choose from enemies in battle. So depending on the turn we are handling or doing, or whatever it's going to be. So what we have here is my attacker's.attack target is going to be, and now we go to the battle state machine script once again, say heroes in battle, and now we can choose outside of the array, or basically outside of the list, within a random.range. And the range is going to be between 0 and the BSM dot heroes in battle dot count. Count is going to be the information for the length of the list. Arrays are going to use .length, lists are using .count. So make sure you're using .count, otherwise you will have a problem. So now we have populated my attack, which is of type handle turn, and gave that information. We have a name, we have a game object, and we have any target randomly from the targets which are just in there. So now we need to take all that information and push them into the battle machine. And for that we are creating a new function, of course, and say void let's say collect actions or whatever, I don't know. So we're collecting actions inside of that small function, and we want to have access from outside, so we need to set this one to public void. Okay. Let me just check. Oh yeah, of course. What we need to do next is we need to populate our perform list with the handle turn we just get send it into. So we get an information from our enemy state machine. We just will type in the next row in here, and we'll send them into that function with that handle turn we just got. So how we can do that? We can basically say we require a handle turn input, and we just call this one, I don't know, just input. And now what we want to do is we want to say perform list dot add. So we want to add the handle turn we just get. And what do we want to add? We want to add the input we just got from, or we want to we will just get from enemy state machine. So in here we say BSM dot, and then we have the collect actions, which requires handle turn. What we want to send in, we want to send in my attack. And that's it. So now we have chosen an action, randomly attacking anyone, and then we just have any information we just need. Another thing is for later on animations and stuff, we go and create another vector3 for this, because we want to know when we animate where are we at start. So we say private let me just say this game object, and this is going to be private of type vector3, of course, and it's going to be our start position. There we go. And at start, we also want to set our start position. Start position is going to be equal to transform.position. So we populate, or basically we'll fill information into that vector3. So later on, when we go over and animate all that things to attack from left to right and right to back, right to left, then we can do an action from this position to a position somewhere here and then go back to the start position. I'm going to go over into that in the next video, of course. But first, let's fix that last problem in here. Collect actions. Let's see what I have missed in here. I believe it is because I haven't saved that script in here. So let's go and see if this is going to get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. So now we can, or now the script is going to send in information into the battle list or into the handle list. Somehow the battle manager's handle turn list or the perform list is not showing up in here. That's a bit strange. Why is it not showing up in here? Those are, oh yeah, we need to go over, and handle turn needs to be serializable, so otherwise we cannot see and do anything. So we say in square brackets system.serializable in the handle turn class. Gonna check this once again, and then we should be able to see it in here and see, yeah, there we go. See that it is going to be populated by anything we just pop in. So now we wait 5 seconds, and then we should see that it's getting populated by the enemies. But there's nothing happening because we are not changing the enemy state, or basically not choosing any action. So we go into progress bar. Then we choose an action, and in choose action we want to make sure that we of course choose the action. That means we call that function, and once we have done that, we want to go to turn state.waiting. So we only do that action once, and then we go to our idle state. So I just call or command this out. This is going to be the idle state, where nothing else is happening than just waiting. So current state is going to be equal to turn state dot waiting. There we go. And let's see if this is going to work. Again, let's look at the perform list in our battle state machine. And we should see in 5 seconds that there is something in, and there we go. So the perform list has now a size of 2. So we have enemy 2 is the first one, and enemy 1 is the second one. And also we can see this is the attacker's name, the attacker's game object, and the hero was chosen automatically, and same for hero 2. So pretty cool. So now we know who is going to attacking what and when and how and all the other things. And also we can push any other information inside, like the attack chosen, or if it was a spell, if it has one, and all the other things. We will go over that one later on. So for this part, again, let's check what we have done. We set it up the lists for our current game objects in the scene, like the enemies and the heroes. We create the perform list to handle all the turns incoming automatically by the enemy state machine, or basically by the enemy. And we made it so that the enemy is automatically choosing actions. Well, basically the only thing he is not get an automatic, how shall I say, which he's going to get randomly is which hero to attack. And we didn't send any other things. Well, right now, later on we will do and choose from a list of actions the enemy just have, or attacks or abilities the enemy have, and then choose one depending on heroes, the chosen hero's HP maybe, or anything else, so we can populate the choose action state or the choose action function in here and make it more comfortable and choose more stuff. And also we will go over and add stuff into handle turn. But yeah, that's it for now. In the next part we're going to do some animations and create the first turns basically, or the make them the enemies think and the battle state machine act, like who is going to get which or is going to perform which action, and how we go through all that battle states afterwards. So we will go over and take actions from the list, from the perform list, and then we perform them depending on who was the attacker and all the other things. So until then, feel free to play around with that or whatever. If you have any comments, questions, I don't know, just feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for the future videos of that series and all other things I just create. Until then, see you in the next part. Bye bye.